Hey, what's up everybody? It's OC, and welcome back to another episode of The Confusion Records. Now this episode is going to be all about my favorite of all time rappers, Tupac. There's a lot of skepticism about what all is the deal with Tupac Shakur, what his real name was, and who his real family was. I am here today to set the record straight. Now, what we're gonna do is go over everything we can from Tupac's life, from the time that we can find out who this person was when they were born, who their family members were. I'm gonna tell all of it today with the help of the YouTube channel Tupac Hoax. If you haven't seen this channel, please go and check this channel out, subscribe, like their videos, watch their videos, and you'll learn a lot more about everything that's going on in the world right now. Go on over there and see these videos. You're gonna love it. But anyway, check out this video, you guys. I'm not gonna bring you any further ado. Here it is, the Tupac special, and stay tuned all the way to the end because we have a very, very special interview with Tupac at the end, where it was on MTV back when MTV actually played music and was actually ballsy and had the nerve to stand up the system. So check it out. Please click like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. We can make a difference, but we must speak up.
Are you discovering the truth? Well, I'm still discovering the truth. That's what we do as we keep on growing in life. The truth is inside of us, and it's wonderful when we have the courage to tell it. I have a puppet that I want to show you. This puppet has a big mouth with teeth. People must not bite other people. When I was a little boy, I used to play a lot with puppets like this. I played a lot about my feelings. In fact, playing about feelings is a great thing for people to learn how to do. And many are very good players. Make-believe is a kind of play, you know? So let's just have some make-believe.
If blacks were really being revolutionaries of any sort, would they tie themselves to the name gangster? That term has a whole lot of negative and white connotations and links, doesn't it?
To really understand Tupac's connection to being an industry plant, we have to travel back in time. Tupac Shakur was not his real name. This is an immediate and glaring red flag, as we have seen many famous celebrities, artists, politicians, and businessmen in the 20th century switching their names. On chapters 9 and 19, we briefly touched on Tupac's real name, Hussein Parrish Crooks. Saying even his real name is a mystery, since neither of his parents were crooks. His mother was born Alice Faye Williams, and his father was born William Garland. So where did Crooks come from? We aren't told.
That's why I'm easy.
His mother later married Gerald Wayne Williams, aka Mutulu Shakur. So she was a Williams who married a Williams? On Genie.com, Alice's genealogy is scrubbed after her grandfather, a Reverend Walter Williams. But we get some very interesting hits on her mother's side. Alice's mother was Rosa Bell McClellan, born October 1st, 1918. McClellan isn't a very black-sounding name, is it? In fact, it probably comes from General George McClellan of the Civil War and General Samuel McClellan of the Revolutionary War. George McClellan was a close friend of the Stuarts and Hills, and the McClellans and Hills intermarried. He was called the Young Napoleon, which is appropriate since he was related to Napoleon. Alice's mother, Tupac's great-grandmother, was Rosa Lee Powell. Rosa Lee Powell was the daughter of Roosevelt Powell and Millie Ann Wooten. The line is scrubbed after Roosevelt, but that name is enough to clue you in. They took out the E to throw you off, as if that would work. But we have all we need, since Roosevelt is not a typical first name, and this Roosevelt was born decades before any Roosevelt became president. He was named after his ancestors, who were Roosevelts. That means that, yes, Tupac Shakur was a Roosevelt. It also means he wasn't very black. Seems a bit far-fetched, doesn't it? Maybe, maybe not. Let's start with the obvious. Tupac's face. Do you see it? He looks very Jewish, doesn't he? We've been conditioned not to notice Jewishness or question ethnicity in general, and because he's black, we naturally don't question it. But Tupac has all the Jewish markings. A long face, a long, slightly downturned nose, sunken eyes with long eyelashes, and big, bushy eyebrows. He doesn't just look sort of Jewish. Aside from his skin color, he looks full-on Jewish. I mention that only to counter the objection that Tupac couldn't be part of the ruling crypto-Jewish families because he's black and all the crypto rulers are rich white folks from the peerage. But it only takes one generation to go from light skin to dark skin, so it's not far-fetched to claim Tupac is part of the peerage. Did you know that his fiancée at the time of his death was Jewish? That would be Kidada Jones, daughter of composer Quincy Jones and actress Peggy Lipton. You may know her sister, Rashida, of Parks and Recreation fame. That's Kidada with her parents as a young child. Her mother is best known for playing flower child Julie Barnes in ABC show The Mod Squad. Peggy's father, Harold, was a corporate lawyer born to Russian Jewish immigrants Max Lipschitz and Alice Goldfarb, and her mother, Rita Benson, was an artist born in Dublin, Ireland, to Jewish parents Hyman Rosenberg from Russia and Jane Benson, born in Lancashire, England. We're supposed to believe Kidada was half black because of her dad, but Quincy wasn't all that black himself. Here's a picture of his mother, Sarah Frances Wells. Black? Maybe. But obviously from wealth, something you wouldn't expect of a black woman born in Vicksburg, Mississippi in 1903. That's because she's not fully black. Her grandfather was James Balance Lanier, a white man and spy for the Confederate Army. These Laniers trace back to the prominent Lanier and Bassano families of England. So Tupac's fiancée was Jewish, not just on her white mother's side, but on her black father's side as well. It also means she was related to Tennessee Williams. And note the last name, which is Tupac's mother's maiden name. Just like Kidada isn't very black, Tupac isn't very black either. Here's a photo of Tupac's alleged grandmother, Eloise Marie Barnes Garland. She's very light-skinned, and her features are more Mediterranean or Jewish than African. Of course, Barnes is a name we find over 300 times in the peerage. They are related to the Oppenheims. See Jewish-Irish politician Sally Oppenheim Barnes, who was made a baroness in 1989. The lines are scrubbed after Eloise, although findagrave.com lists her father as Walter Barnes. If you search on that name, you find jazz musician Walter Barnes, born 1905. Eloise was born in 1930, so the dates match perfectly for this Walter to have been her father. He was the first black musician to play on radio in Chicago, and we read that his introduction to radio was greatly assisted by the Alphonse Capone family.
At dawn this morning, the police went to the Black Panther headquarters with warrants for the arrest of 2 Panthers.
The intermittent warfare between the Black Panthers and police erupted today in Los Angeles. There, a group of them barricaded themselves in their headquarters and fought police with automatic weapons and hand grenades.
Tupac's mother, Alice, changed her name to Afeni Shakur and became active in the Black Panther Party in the late 1960s. Wikipedia tells us Tupac was born a month after his mother was acquitted of 156 charges of conspiracy against the United States government and New York landmarks in the Panther 21 trial. Panther 21 was a group of Black Panther members accused of planning coordinated bombing and long-range rifle attacks on 2 police stations and a Board of Education office in New York City. This was another blatantly fake trial. The only detail we're given at Wikipedia is that the prosecution read Chairman Mao's Little Red Book and showed the court the movie The Battle of Algiers. Do you really think a competent prosecutor would waste time reading communist propaganda and screening a film? We aren't even told what their goal was in doing this, other than to show the dangerous ideas behind the Black Panthers' ideology. But you don't need to watch an entire film to show this, nor does it prove anything. And do you think a competent judge would let the court's time be wasted watching an entire film? What was this, movie night at the local courthouse? No, a judge in a real trial would have told the prosecution to move on. Apparently, the judge didn't mind wasting the court's time, since the trial ended up lasting 8 months and being the costliest trial in New York's history. After this long and torturous trial, we get this tidbit from the New York Times article announcing the acquittal. There wasn't enough evidence after 8 months? What were they doing for 8 months? Oh yeah, reading Mao and getting refills on popcorn. The prosecution should have had piles and piles of evidence, all the evidence they collected in order to charge the defendants with 156 counts of conspiracy against the US government. Also ridiculous is the fact that Tupac's mom represented herself in the trial, refusing to use an attorney. We are supposed to believe a poor black farmer girl from North Carolina successfully defended herself in the New York Supreme Court against 156 charges of conspiracy? The jury member quoted is another clue here. Frederick Hills worked for McGraw-Hill Publications, now McGraw-Hill Education. If you think it's simply a textbook publishing house, you're wrong. It bought S&P in 1966, the National Radio Institute in 1968, Time Life Broadcasting in 1972, Random House in 1988, and Macmillan in 1993. It also bought California Test Bureau in 1965, meaning it wasn't just publishing textbooks, but also designing educational testing systems. CTB develops testing for all 50 states, 49 countries, and 18 million students.
Lessons develop the kind of thinking students need in order to produce the kinds of products we're looking for.
In other words, McGraw-Hill was and always has been a massive propaganda organ touching newspapers, books, television, and education across the world. McGraw-Hill was involved in this race-baiting project because that's what it's good at. In 2015, McGraw-Hill was accused of whitewashing history after it published a geography textbook showing a picture of African American slaves with the caption, "Workers."
To rewriting history as a major publisher makes a change to one of its textbooks. Kobe Burin was about to read chapter 5 of It's a New World Geography book when he noticed questionable language, referring to African slaves as workers and immigrants. He sent a text picture of the passage to his mom. She then posted a video flipping through the book, detailing what it did and did not include. It has been shared all across the country, getting the attention of the publisher, McGraw-Hill.
This controversy, like all other racial controversies these days, was completely manufactured, and McGraw-Hill has been part of it since at least the Black Panther days. Jury member Hill's, note the last name, which is just a part of Hill, as in McGraw-Hill, was just playing the part of jury member in this little piece of theater. Other actors included the prosecutors from the DA's office, Joseph Phillips and Jeffrey Weinstein, and the judge, Charles Marks, think Karl Marx. Those names tell you everything you need to know. Marks had earlier presided over the Malcolm X murder trial, which was another fake trial. Marx is just a variation of Marx, and you'll recall that Karl Marx was related to the famous Dutch Jewish Phillips family. So the judge and prosecutor were probably related. The Panther 21 bombing plot was a hoax coordinated by the equally fake CIA-created Black Panther movement. The fact that Tupac's parents were involved in this hoax and the Black Panthers is enough to out him as a spook.
If I rule the world.
Let's revisit Tupac's last name again, Crooks. We're told his mother made up the name when she filled out his birth certificate so that he'd be harder for her enemies to find and track. But this explanation makes no sense, since we were already told Alice Afeni was acquitted of 156 charges in a very high-profile case just 2 months before Tupac was born. That means she was in custody during most of her pregnancy. We're also told the FBI was surveilling her before her arrest as part of its COINTELPRO operations. Did she really think they'd just stop tracking her the moment she was acquitted? In any event, did she really think the FBI couldn't figure out what she named her son? And that still doesn't explain why she chose the name Crooks. If you really wanted to throw off the feds, would you pick that name? She may as well named him Burglar or Arsonist. An Intellius search of Alice Faye Williams pulls her up as Alice Faye Williams. Note the misspelled middle name. We know it's her because it says she worked at the Black Panther Party. Right, as if it were a business and she was on the payroll. It doesn't show her being related to Tupac, Jarrell, or her husband at the time of her death, Gus Davis, which is odd. It does show her being related to a Janice Williams, and an Intellius search on Janice shows her being related, in turn, to an Alice Burleson. An Intellius search on that name brings up an Alice Faye Burleson, age 70, who has also worked at the Black Panther Party. Intellius is clearly messing with us, sending us off on a wild goose chase for the fun of it. More evidence that Intellius is messing with us. If you search Tupac Shakur on Intellius, you get 49 hits. In addition to the actual Tupac Amaru Shakur, at the top of the list, you get several oddities. All of this points to the obvious observation that names are being intentionally fudged and hidden with no good explanation.
I'm easy like Sunday morning.
Tupac's body was quickly cremated with no funeral. Maybe they thought his family members weren't good enough actors to fake sadness at his fake funeral. Think of the transparent absurdity of the Michael Jackson funeral, where the kids especially never had the right face on. And thus, having the service would risk giving away the whole thing. The cremation bit sounds like a half-baked story to explain away there being no funeral. Tupac not dying also explains the inconsistencies in his coroner's report, such as the fact that it lists his weight as 215 pounds, while his driver's license says 168 pounds. That's a pretty big difference. In fact, it's a difference of 47 pounds. Other skeptics say this was a slip-up by the forgers, but it's not a slip-up at all. It's an intentional signal. 47 is year one of the CIA, and we have seen that number all over the place with these projects. For further evidence, when they first released Tupac's coroner's report, they blacked out the first 3 and last 4 digits of Tupac's SSN, but leaves the middle 2 visible. Guess what those numbers are? 47. Why wouldn't they just black out his entire SSN? Because it's a signal. It's marking this whole charade as an intelligence project. While perhaps Tupac was never Afeni's real son, with his background concealed, it seems the alleged families are all actors hired by the Central Intelligence Agency to play the part of the Shakurs. If they're putting so much into misleading and hiding Tupac's background, it's not far-fetched to think the information they give us is put there to take us further away from the truth, giving us a created family in which Tupac came from, and that may be the starting point for this rabbit hole. Tupac's death makes much more sense as a hoax. You don't need any context at all to know there's something amiss with his death.
Alright everybody, thanks so much for watching. Please, as always, click like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and as promised, here's the video with Tupac that we're going to end up with right now. This interview right here, this interview deserves all the likes in the world. If you don't like this video after hearing this interview, something is wrong with your brain. Anyway, this man was super incisive. He knew what was going on with the world, he knew what was going on with the government, things like that, long before we were making these videos. So please pay some respects to this man that tried to wake people up and has woken people up and has kept people awake for many years now. So please click like, subscribe, share this video with everyone you know. We have to get the information out. Remember, we can make a difference, but we must speak up.
This world is such a, and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a, gimme, gimme, gimme. Everybody back off. You know, everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. If you want to be successful, you want to be like Trump, gimme, 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 push, 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 step, 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 crush, crush, crush. That's how it all is. And it's like, nobody ever stopped. Just, you know, I feel like, instead of us just being like, slavery's bad, slavery's down, bad whitey, bad whitey. I mean, all right, let's stop that. And everybody's smart enough to know that, I mean, we've been slighted. And we want ours. And I don't mean by like ours, 40 acres and a mule, because we passed that. But we need help. I mean, for us to be on our own 2 feet, us meaning youth or us meaning black people, whatever you want to take it for us to be on our own 2 feet, we do need help. Because we have been here, we have been a good friend. If you want to make it a relationship type thing, we have been there, and now we deserve our payback. It's like you got a friend that you don't never look out for. You know, you dressed up in jewels. Now America's got jewels, and they paid and everything, and they lending money to everybody except us. And it's like, you know, everybody need a little help on their way to being, you know, self-reliant. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about the album, about the Special Olympics. Everybody need a little something, and to be independent. No independent person just grew up and was born independent. You worked and you learned teamwork and you learned cooperation and unity and struggle, and then you became independent. And we have to teach that and instill that. And why is it that they want to do that? I mean, if this is truly a melting pot in the country where we care about and Lady Liberty got a hand like this, she really loves us, then we really need to be like that. And it needs to be the black kids. If there's a white person who got money, then he need to help them. He need to help black kids, Mexican kids, Korean kids, whatever. But it need to be real. And it need to be before we all die and then you say, oh, I made a mistake. We should have gave them some money. We really should have helped these folks. It's going to be too late. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when you got to pay your own karma. And that's when God make you punish. When God punishes you. Because I feel like, you know, it's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for 36 million and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1,000,000 billion and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants.
You say to people that say, well, they earned it. Now you go out and you're earning it.
If they earned it, then I think that that's good, and I think that they deserve it. But even if you earned it, you still owe. Because look at me, I don't have that mega money, but I feel guilty walking by somebody. I got to give them some mail. And if I know I got $3,000 in my pocket, I feel like it's wrong to give that person a quarter or $1. It's wrong. Only you know what you got in your pocket. And that's wrong. No matter what they do, if they take it and drink it, they take it and drink it. But, I mean, you got. You understand? And we all know how hard it is, and it's not about if you good or you bad. So since it's not about if you good or you bad, we know that because he don't got don't mean he was bad. Or don't mean he's a criminal, or don't mean he's crazy, or a drug addict, or none of that. It just means he don't got. And ain't it bad that you got 30? I mean, can you imagine somebody having $32 million? $32 million. And this person has nothing? And you can sleep? You can still go to the movies about, I mean, and then these are the type of people that get humanitarian awards. Millionaires. How can they be humanitarians? By the fact that they millionaires and there's so many poor people shows how unhumane they are. You know what I'm saying? And that bugs me. Not saying that when I'm never going to be rich, and you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying it's a struggle, and I think everybody deserves. And I think there's a way to pay these people. I think there is a way. It just takes to be revolutionary. And it takes to do something out of the ordinary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that if we just said, okay, I got an idea. No more porno buildings. You know what I'm saying? Let's build houses. Or no more polo games. Let's build houses for poor people. You know what I'm saying? Or, look, okay, I know you're rich. I know you got $40 billion. But can you just keep it to one house? You only need one house. And if you only got 2 kids, can you just keep it to 2 rooms? I mean, why have 52 rooms and you know there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me. It don't. And then these people celebrate Christmas. They got big trees, huge trees, all the little trimmings. Everybody got gifts, and then somebody's starving. And they're having a white Christmas. They're having a great Christmas, eggnog and the whole nine. That's not fair to me.